Hi, everybody. Sarah Eggleston with John L. Scott. Welcome back to This Week in Housing. I'm going to go over the real estate updates for this week. There weren't that many changes for this week, and we went over all the monthly stats for last month over the last couple weeks. So this one might be a little bit shorter, but there's some really great information points that I don't want you to miss out on. So make sure you stay tuned for some of this great info. I'm really excited to bring this to you. So let's go ahead and just jump right into it. All right. So this week in housing, just a reminder, I do this at 3 p.m. every Friday. So I'll be back here again 3 p.m. next week. So just jumping right into the news. This one came out actually today. Low rates and heavy buyer demand send U.S. home sales surging. This is kind of a nationwide thing that we're seeing right now. The interest rates nationwide are incredibly low. So that has really fueled buyer demand. So the housing market has been extremely resilient, and that is partially because the sparse inventory. Prices have been driving up because supply is so small. The supply in July was down 2.6% from June and 21% from a year ago. So we have 21% less homes on the market than last year. And with these crazy low interest rates, buyers are definitely out there. So the demand is far outweighing the supply. And there is a 3.1 month supply of houses right now. That's down from 3.9 last month or 4.2 a year ago. So this is a theoretical number. If no new homes came on the market in the next month, we would theoretically run out of homes in 3.1 months. This is a nationwide stat. We are much, much shorter here. So the result is that the homes are getting put up for sale go really quickly. Like I'm seeing homes go off the market in 2-3 days. So they get listed, tons of people go and look at it, and they have multiple offers by the end of the weekend. And I've seen this repeatedly in our market. So our market's doing really well right now, especially for sellers. Buyers just have to have a really good plan in place. And last week, as far as mortgage rates, we talked about how they had risen. They had been down. They'd hit lows like 8 times this year so far, but they did rise last week. And this week, we do see it rise again. So last week, it was at 2.96, and this week, we're at 2.99. So it did raise a little bit more and then come back down. So we saw a little bit of a spike in the graph, but that was not too bad. It only went up 0.03%. So it really doesn't make that much of a difference on your mortgage payment. And the home buying demand continues to be one of the bright spots in the pandemic. And this is one of the themes I've seen throughout the pandemic. There's so many industries that are getting hit so hard, and so many people being laid off and not being able to work. But real estate has remained really strong. For those people that have been able to maintain employment, they have really shown that, I don't know, they've really kept the housing market going. One moment. I told my cat that she had to be quiet during this presentation, and then she was not, so to kick her out. And oh yeah, so government the government reported Tuesday that the construction of new homes surged 22.6% in July. This is something that we have been seeing throughout the last couple months. The new construction, the demand for specifically new construction has surged. There's a lot of people that just want a brand new home right now. They want to be able to pick the details, and they're basically just get a brand new house. And that could be due to the pandemic. I'm not 100% sure why specifically new, but builders are definitely reporting that they are seeing a lot more demand for new homes across the nation. So this is one of the things I really wanted to mention. So this is a graph of the last 2 years for mortgage rates. And you can see here at the peak in November of 2018, it was at 4.94%, and now we are down to 2.99% in just 2 years. So we've been at a steady decline. And then since the pandemic hit, we have seen them continue to fall, the interest rates. So as far as market activity, you can see that our pending sales are still very strong, and that the difference between the condo new listings and pendings for condos is not as great as the difference between new listings and pending for residential. So we can see that there's a greater shortage of inventory in the residential sector compared to the condos. But if we combine that together, you can see that we had 10,000 new listings, 1,070 new listings last week. Woo, catching my brain here. 1,300 pending and 936 sold. So if we put that on our graph that we've been tracking since I've been doing these updates, you can see that the listings have continued to grow, and our growth on the listings has kind of slowed a little bit. It was a lot higher increase over at back in April, May, but we are still seeing an increase in new listings coming on the market. So this just shows that again. This is for the whole Northwest MLS. So this is basically Western Washington. And you can see that compared to last year, we do have more new listings in this area per week. As far as our overall supply, we're a little bit lower than this, but as far as new listings, we are doing better than we were last year in this specific area. And pending listings this year, we are seeing more pending listings than we were last year. We made that crossover a number of weeks ago, and we are seeing a lot more listings pending this year. And as far as sold, we kind of are flirting with the line from last year, or kind of hugging it. So it's not too much different than it was last year on the actual sold listings. But that is impressive considering the overall inventory has been a little bit short. And this is for showing time. So this is all of North America for agent showings for buyers. And you can see that we were cruising along on showings and showings and showings. And then what happened here? Everything plummeted yesterday on showing time. That is because showing time crashed yesterday. So this actually is not really showing an accurate depiction of what the showings were starting yesterday. The rest of the week, this is pretty accurate, but yesterday showing time crashed nationwide, which was kind of a pain, I must admit, because this is what I use to book most of my showings and manage the showings on my listings. So having my little piece of technology disappear for a day was frustrating, but we made it. It's back up and running now. So new home sales activity continued to rebound in July after a pandemic-induced low point in April 2020. In fact, applications for new home purchases with home builder affiliates were 39% higher than in July of 2019. So this is for new construction. But new construction demand was 39% higher than last year. That's pretty crazy. I'm just surprised that it's that much of a change. With supply and demand moving in opposite directions, sellers are clearly gaining the upper hand in the market as buyer competition builds up and prices gain momentum going into the fall. So since we've had an excess of supply on the market, not an excess of supply, the reverse of that, a lack of supply on the market, an excess of buyers in the market, and really low interest rates, buyers are able to afford more now than they have in quite some time, just because of the interest rates. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. But because of the great interest rates and the buyer demand and people wanting to get out of their apartment living situations, and the sellers not wanting to sell their home because they don't want strangers walking through their home during a pandemic, it's pushed the prices up for the homes that are on the market. Since the basic supply and demand, these buyers are all fighting over the same homes, and so there's a lot of the bidding wars and prices are raising overall, which I must admit, at the beginning of the pandemic, well, no one knew it was going to last this long, but I didn't expect home sales to surge during a pandemic, and they certainly have. So this is from the chief economist at National Association of Realtors. Gosh, I can't talk today. Although housing prices have consistently moved higher when the favorable market rates are factored in, an overall home purchase was more affordable in 2020's second quarter than compared to 1 year ago. So this is stressing that affordability for buyers. Buyers have more purchasing power, and so prices are going up. And those shopping for a home can afford 10% more home than they could have 1 year ago, assuming everything else in their account is the same, like same job, same income, all that. They can afford 10% more than they could a year ago while keeping their monthly payment unchanged. This translates on a national average to $32,000 more buying power. That's incredible. a lot of I've seen a lot of people get approved for $40,000 more than they were approved for last year, and that really gives you a little bit more leeway when looking for a home. So, and then just to wrap it up with our unemployment statistics, we did see a little bit of pop-up in unemployment filings this past week, but it was pretty incremental. Hopefully we don't see this again, but I've heard conflicting predictions about what's going to happen as far as unemployment over the next few weeks, a month. So we might just have to wait and see on that, since even the economists are fighting about what's going to happen. But hopefully we get to see people go back to work and see in a safe way. I know that there's a lot of people that already have gone back to work, and some businesses have gone back and had to close because somebody got infected, and it's been a crazy time. So let's stay safe out there, everyone. Be as safe as you can so that we can get back to normal in our society and get everyone back to work. Oh, and that's right. I did have one more slide. So this is the Housing Market Recovery Index. This combines demand, supply, price, and time on market into some equation that I'm not going to pretend to understand, but this comes from realtor.com, and they had the baseline as February 1st. So to measure that, we went up to 106.5 right in March, and then plummeted to 83.1% of these four combined components. But now we are making our comeback, and we have passed where we were on February 1st and are showing a strong recovery in the housing market overall. So if you do have questions, please feel free to reach out. Again, I will be here next week at 3 p.m. For another This Week in Housing. Make sure that you like, subscribe. If you're watching this live on Facebook right now, I appreciate it. But if you're watching on IGTV or YouTube or my website, just make sure to subscribe or like and hit the little alarm button so that you'll be alerted when I come out with new videos. All right, thank you so much for joining me for This Week in Housing, and I will see you next week at 3. Have a great week.